What's up everybody, we're back. I have a different kind of video for you today. Today we're going to be checking out a high fidelity stereo headphone amplifier from Fosi Audio. And not only that, you have 5 outputs with individual volume control. Now you might be thinking, Steven, you're like a mediocre guitarist. Why would Fosi Audio send you something? And my answer to that would be, I don't know. They reached out to me anyway and were telling me about 2 different products. One of the products I really didn't see a use for me or for my audience. So reviewing something that's marketed as a high fidelity stereo headphone amplifier is kind of different for this channel. But I do have a couple awesome uses for this thing. And it's affordable. So I'm not out here reviewing some $200 amplifier for your headphones. No, we have something here you can incorporate into your live sound or your practice rig. And I'm going to show you how I would get stereo in-ears to a 5-piece band. And if you want to incorporate this thing into your studio, you can do that as well. And honestly, I don't know what else to say about it. It's a very straightforward product, so let's just get into it. This is my unboxing and review of the PH05 from Fosi Audio. All right, we're looking at the PH05 by Fosi Audio. This is a headphone amplifier, 1 stereo in, 5 stereo outs, individual volume controls for each out. We're gonna unbox it right now, show you how it's delivered. This is the box it comes in. If you're not new to this channel, you know I love white text on a black background. I don't know why, that's just my thing. They are redefining hi-fi with unmatched value. Here we go, we're gonna open this thing up. Boom. Foam on top, gone. We got the instruction booklet, PH5 user manual. It's the opposite. This is black text on a white background. Probably my second favorite color scheme. A couple pages in English and then several other languages. You get the headphone amplifier. Oh, you get a cable in here. Awesome. Power supply and the manual. Super exciting stuff. So exciting, I'm gonna throw it over there. Pull out the power cable first. Got a small block. That's cool. I prefer the small blocks over the large ones. Getting those things on the power strips is a pain in the butt. This, you're still going to kind of have that problem fitting this onto a power strip. Probably going to take up 2 outlets unless you put it at the end or something along those lines. But if you're using like a rack power strip, then that should sit in nicely. Got your aux cable. This is a stereo 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter cable. This is a cloth cable. This has cloth on the outside, your typical aux cable. Nothing fancy about that. All right, here's what we're waiting for. The big reveal. Pulling it out of the foam. You know what? Let's clear this table before we pull it out of the packaging. All right, so we're gonna pull it out of the wrap now. Voila, there it is. Very nice. I like the big old orange button. Ooh, it's got a nice click too. Can you hear that? I'm hoping that button lights up because it's not like a push-pull button. It's just a click button. Got your master volume knob and then the individual volume for each stereo out. That's right there. Very cool. And you have your power in right there. Looks fancy. This is solid metal construction. It is a good weight. It's not heavy by any means, but it doesn't feel light. It doesn't feel cheap. Hear that? Is that a good demonstration of how much it weighs? Probably not. Rubber feet on the bottom so it doesn't slide around. If you're gonna put this in a rack, you could always pull those feet off. Velcro on there, stick it in the rack somewhere, put it on a little shelf. That would be cool. It seemed like they're metal knobs too, which is nice. To step up from the plastic knobs, they feel a lot nicer than a plastic knob. Smooth turning, feels nice. Not really much else to say. Let's plug it in. Okay, I got the power there. Plug it in. Okay, so the button doesn't line up when you press it. This is a mute button, by the way, power and mute button, but you have this little LED. It goes red when it's mute, blue when it's on, I'm assuming. We'll have to check that to make sure. That is the only button here, but yeah, that visual reference is always nice. It's a very straightforward product. There's not really much to demonstrate here, but let me grab a mixer and show you how I would incorporate this into a live rig. All right, I brought some more gear out. Now I want to talk about where I would put the PH05 in a live rig to give you a nice, affordable option for live in-ear monitor. If you have the option to use in-ear monitors, I would encourage you to take that opportunity. I know some people don't like them because it isolates them from the stage. My old singer was that way. You have to work with what you got, and I was actually in my last band 1 step away from getting something similar to this and put it in my live rig. So I was a bassist first, I picked up guitar, and then I got into live sound. So I was a sound tech through high school and college, and then a little bit after college, but I wanted a normal schedule, so I ended up not doing live sound professionally after that. I picked up a job as a TV director and then did live sound on the side. Then I got married and had kids, and now I don't play live or do any live sound right now. In all the bands I was in, I was also the live sound tech. I didn't want to do that necessarily, but nobody else did it the way I wanted to, so I just stepped up and did it. What we're looking at here is just your basic standard Mackie mixer. It's got some digital effects, but it's all analog. You can do this on a digital mixer too. I think the last band I had an XR12 or 18 or something like that, and I would mix this the same way. This setup is great for live use, but also if you just have this in your practice space, it's a real easy way to just get in-ears in your practice space. Because you're not really using any more gear outside this PH05. You're really just incorporating something new and using what you already have. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up like a normal wedge monitor mix. Instead of sending that signal to a power amp or a powered speaker or something, you're actually gonna send it to the PH05. The easiest way to do this, if you wanna mirror what's coming out your main outs, is to go from your headphone out into the PH05 and then out of the PH05 into the individual headphone outs. But every adjustment you make in the house, you would make in your ears as well. That's an easy way to do it. If your practice space is set up that way, then that would be probably the quickest and easiest way to do it. But if you want to have a separate mix for your ears than your house, you're going to have to use an aux send. On this board, they're called monitor sends, but they're the same thing. So for this mixer, what I'm going to do, and every mixer is different, but the premise is the same. You're going to do an aux out to the PH05 and then out the PH05 to your individual headphone outs. Theoretically, I have all my mics, my guitars, my drums going into the mixer. But for this situation, I have the classic dual 1/4 inch TS cable to the TRS 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter output. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these in Mon 1 and Mon 2. Going out. And this isn't the best place to put this. This is just where all my cables reach right now because I didn't think far enough ahead to do this. So we're going to go from the monitor send into the input. Boom shakalaka. Then I have my headphone cable. This is just your standard TRS 1/8 inch cable, like a 20-foot extender. It's going to go into any of these, but right now I'm in output 1. And those are going to my in-ears here. Now you're not going to hear this feed because it's just repetitive of what you're hearing right now. So I have my Mon 1 master up. So as I bring this mic up here, we're going to get signal to the PH05. And I found out the blue light on the PH05 means mute, so you tap that. Orange means live, so now I can hear myself. And I sound great. But it's all going to depend on what you put in here. If the signal you're putting in here doesn't sound good, it's not going to sound good coming out. Now I have a separate mix going to my in-ears, and then I just repeat that for however many band members I have. This one will do up to 5. If you need more than 5 outs, then you'll have to get a bigger unit, or you can do some splitters after the fact. If you're in your practice space, you can be a little bit more ghetto with the setup, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And then each of your outputs has an individual volume. Now let me make this clear. You're not going to get 5 different mixes. You're going to get the same mix through 5 different outputs with individual volume control. If you're looking for something to give you several different mixes, this is not for you. Now, if you're just looking for an easy way to get in-ears into your live rig, this is for you. So that's how I would hook it up to get in-ears in my rig very easily. I do want to clarify one thing. This is working a little bit differently than I thought it was going to work. So for the stereo part, since I have 2 outputs, whatever I bring up in aux 1 or Mon 1, that is going to go to my right in this case. Whatever I bring up in monitor 2 or aux 2 is going to bring up in my left. So if you want a true mono signal, you'll have to bring them up equally. There is one other thing I wanted to check. Editor Steven is going to have to finish this part because I don't have the adapters right now. I wanted to see if this thing would be mono summing. So that means if you just put a mono signal in instead of a stereo signal, that would come out mono on both sides. Or would it just come out one side? So Editor Steven, let us know. Okay, Editor Steven here, and this is actually what I was worried about. I found all my connectors, so I tried it with just a TS cable coming out from the iPad. So stereo out to just one channel to see if this thing would sum to mono. That means put the stereo into a mono signal and then come out mono on all these headphones. And it does not work like that. This is always my test track to see if stuff is in stereo or not. The guitars in the beginning are hard panned. So right now I have a stereo cable hooked up to the input from the iPad. So you get a stereo signal. So you get both the guitars, one hard left, one hard right. But when you switched to the TS cable, you will only get one of the channels. I believe it's the left channel, unless my in-ears are wired up backwards or something. So you're not getting that do-do-do-do-do-do. You're not getting that guitar, you're just getting the like squealy. Terrible explanation, but no. If you're going to put a mono signal in here, it's only going to come out one side. It is not going to come out both sides equally. That is kind of a big deal if you're going to run this as in-ears, so you will need 2 inputs going into this in order to get both ears. I'm glad I checked that because that is kind of a big deal if you're running this as in-ears. So in order to get both ears out of this, you need to have a stereo signal go in. So if you need to copy your mono signal out, whatever you have to do to get a stereo going in, it could be dual mono, so you get dual mono out. But just know this does not sum to mono on the outs. Wow, wasn't that fascinating? Anyways, I don't think there's too much more to talk about here. The thing works as it should. It has a lot of clean headroom, so you can get a lot of volume in your headphones or your in-ears, which is great if you're on stage. Some of these like normal headphone amps just don't cut it volume-wise, and you do need something with a little extra push. This thing definitely has it. Just remember the orange means on, blue means mute. Again, you have your 5 independent volume out for each individual headphone out. You got 1 mix going in and then the same mix going out on 5 different channels, and you can control the volume on each one. Again, this is just my background as a musician on how I would use this. There's tons of other uses for this. If you want to use this in your studio and have multiple outs, you could just hook up a stereo out from your interface into this, and then you have 5 separate outs. So if you want to record other people, you can have the same or a separate mix going to this, and then they can control their own volume, which is always a plus. But this is definitely how I would have used it in my live rig. I did incorporate live in-ears to my band before we broke up, which is awesome, but I kind of wish I just had this and some hardwired in-ears, because the singer used a wired mic anyway, and he didn't like the in-ears, so he didn't use them anyway, and I had the full wireless guitar rig and the wireless in-ears, but for the level we were at, that was way overkill. I didn't need to be running around the stage or anything, so wired guitar, wired in-ears would have been perfect. Something like this would have been cool. I'm pretty sure the wireless units I was using anyway are illegal now, so that's out of the question. But anyways, this thing works as it should. It looks nice. It feels nice. Nice high quality. There's nothing else really to say about this. That pretty much wraps up my review of the PH05 by Fosi Audio. Just a reminder, I am coming at this from the point of view as a musician and a live sound tech. Fosi Audio tends to make product aims towards the high fidelity audio market, and that's not me. I'm a DIY musician, DIY live sound tech, but it's nice to have diversity in your point of view. I'm glad they sent it to me. It's a cool product. I like it a lot. Solid metal construction. The knobs feel nice. They're metal knobs here. Nice click on the button. Straightforward, simple, effective product. I will not use it in my current setup, but when I move my studio back home, this is definitely going in the studio. But thank you to Fosi Audio for sending this out. I appreciate it. I enjoyed checking it out, and I'm looking forward to using it in my next studio. And that's all for this review, so if you have any questions or feedback for me, go ahead and leave a comment.